So hello everyone. So today we will be tackling about the unhealthy and healthy self-esteem. But before that, let us first define what is self-esteem. So self-esteem is the collection of beliefs or feelings that we have about ourselves. So just like our self-perceptions on how we define ourselves influence our motivations, our attitudes, and behaviors, and how it affects our emotional adjustments. So, self esteem actually fluctuates when the child grows. It is frequently changed and fine tuned because it affected by a child's experiences and new perceptions could be affected. So, a child who has low self esteem may not want to try new things. This is what we should be aware of. So he or she may frequently speak negative about his or herself, saying such things like, I'm stupid, I'll never learn to do this, or what's the point of doing this? So the child exhibit a low tolerance for frustrations. So the children with low self-esteem tend to be overly critical of uh, things that would easily disappoint them, or they also see temporary setbacks as permanent, intolerable condition. So the child who has a healthy self-esteem tends to enjoy interacting with others. So he or she enjoys in comfortable in social setting and enjoy a group of activities as well as independent pursuit. When challenges arise, he or she is able to work towards finding solution, or he or she voices discontent without belittling herself or others. For example, rather saying, I'm idiot, the child would say, I don't understand this. So in that phrase, there's no belittling herself or the others. So, what can parents do to help their children? So, first, they have to watch what they say. So, children, as a very sensitive to parents' words, remember to praise your child, and not only for well done job but also for the effort they made, right? Because they want to be appreciated, they want to be praised, and that is very a pleasing word to hear from parents. Next, be a positive role model. So parents should be the number one role model, so they should act accordingly as they are being watched by their children. So being excessively harsh on yourself, or being pessimistic on or unrealistic about your abilities and limitations, your child may eventually mirrors you. So we should be more realistic and more true and not being hypocrite. So because childs, as they are, always mimic everything they see. So as a parents, parents should always be aware of their actions and what they speak, because their children might mirror them. So next, identify or redirect your child's inaccurate beliefs. Well, it is important for parents to identify their kids' irrational beliefs on themselves, whether they are about perfection, attractiveness, ability, or anything else. Next, help your child set more accurate standards and be more realistic in evaluating him or herself. So, you have to help your child have more healthy self-concept. So, inaccurate perception of self can take root and become reality to a child. So next, be spontaneous and affectionate with your child. So your love will go along the way to boost your child's self-esteem. So they needed a parent's affection. So you need them to feel that you love them, you support them. You do not limit your affections to your children. So give your child hugs, give them praises frequently and honestly without overdoing it, right? So, because sometimes if we overdo it, children will more likely to become spoiled, right? So, we have to make it like simple and true. So, next, give your child a accurate or a positive feedback. So, a comment such as, "You always work yourself up into such a frenzy." Well, that will cause a child to start believing that he or she has no control over his or her outburst. So, a better statement for that negative one is that you were really mad at your brother, but I appreciate that you didn't yell at him or hit him, right? So, that is a better statement. So, next, create a safe, nurturing home environment. So, a child who does not feel safe or being abused at home will suffer immensely from low self-esteem. So, a child who is exposed to parents' fight may become depressed or withdrawn. So, sometimes it also triggers a child to change and its behavior because he or she is exposed to parents' arguments, and that will totally make the child more to become depressed because he or she doesn't feel safe at home. Next, make your home a safe haven to your family. So watch for signs of abuse by others, problems in schools, troubles with peers, or other potential factors that may affect your child's self-esteem. So help your child become involved in constructive experiences, like activities that encourage cooperation rather than competition, are especially helpful, in fostering self-esteem. Like, for example, mentoring programs, so in which one other older child helps a younger one to learn or read, can do it or can do wonder for both children. So now let's go to the gender identity disorder. So, as defined by psychologists and physicians, it is a condition which person has been born with one gender, usually on the basis of their sex at birth, compared to intersex disorder. So, bad identities as belonging to another gender and feels a significant discomfort or the ability to deal with this condition. So, the core symptoms of gender identity disorder is gender dysphoria, literally being uncomfortable with one's gender. So next we have the eating disorder. Eating disorder is the compulsion to eat or avoid eating that negatively affects one's physical and mental health. So what is the most common eating disorder? So first we have the anorexia. Anorexia is the deliberate and sustained weight loss driven by fear of becoming overweight or distorted body image. So people with anorexia have the fear or anxiety of gaining weight. So in order to lose or prevent gaining weight, they have to practice the unhealthy diet. So next, anoretics are commonly perfectionists, driven to succeed, yet they set unattained standards of performance for themselves. So they are perfectionists, yet they also fail to meet these standards they set for themselves. Next, we have the bulimia nervosa. So, bulimia nervosa is a cynical and reoccurring pattern of binge eating. So, uncontrolled burst of overeating. So, this is an overeating followed by a guilt, self-reclamation, and overcompensatory behavior such as crash dieting, over-exercising, purging to compensate for the excessive calorie intake. So, this is also a bad uh, diet. So, or this is a disorder. So, people who have bulimia nervosa can't control their eating patterns. So, they overeat so much. Yet, after overeating, they felt this guilt in themselves, and to compensate on their actions, they have to uh, exercise, or they have to diet in order to compensate on what they have intake, or the calorie they have intaken. So next, we have the causes of eating disorder. So first, we have the environment. So what is the contribution of the environment? So the environment is composed of people. So maybe a person who have eating disorder might be pressured on the environment, on what the environment or the society was expecting on them. So they were pressured to look good, or to be normal, or to be like the other people. So they have to live on the standards where the environment can appreciate them, or they are afraid to be judged by the environment. So next, we have the biological. So biological can be inherited by the genes or through their parents. So they have this eating disorder maybe because they are afraid that they might turn out to be like their mother or their father or anything in their family. So they prevent that to happen. So because it runs in their blood, or maybe in their genes, that they are really on a family that is big or fat. Next is the developmental etymology. Then the trauma. So trauma can be, for example, a child experience a bully because he or she is fat. So that can be when the child's growing up. She have to practice, or he or she should practice dieting because she is afraid, or he is afraid to be bullied again. So next is the following term used to define substance-related disorder, including the following. So substance abuse and some substance independence. So chemical independence is also used to describe the compulsive use of chemicals like drugs or alcohol, and the inability to stop using them despite all the problems caused by their use. So when you are chemically independent, it is really hard to stop, because it is like you cannot stop at all, like a drug. So you're dependent to it. Substance frequently abused by adolescents includes, but are not limited to, the following. First, the alcohol, the marijuana, cocaine, amphetamine, and opiates. Opiates is like a kind of drugs. So next, the following are the most common behavior that indicates an adolescent is having a problem with substance abuse. So what are these? So getting high on drugs, or getting intoxicated, drunk on the regular basis. Next, lying about how much they are using or drinking. Third, they avoid friends and family members. So these are the common behaviors that we should took notice. Fourth, giving up activities they used to enjoy, such as a sport or spending time with non-using friends. Next, talking a lot about using drugs or alcohol, then believing they need to use or drink in order to have fun. So like they make it as an excuse, right? So next, pressuring other to use or drink. Yes, this is like really is a peer pressure. So next, getting in trouble with the law. This is very common to adolescents, especially in cities who have a lack of guidance and proper uh, guidance by parents. Next, taking risks such as sexual risk or driving under the influence of alcohol. These are the behavior problems that indicates that adolescence is having a problem with substance abuse. So next is abuse and violence issues. Family violence permeates our society. It affects us as individuals, family, physicians, spouses, educators, and citizens. So public officials identify family violence as a health issue of epidemic proportions. So family violence is a broader definition of terms: intimate partner or intimate partner violence, or IPV, often used to include the child abuse, the elder abuse, and the other violence acts between family members. So, this form of abuse have potential to lead to mental illness, self-harm, and even attempt suicide. So let's go to domestic violence. What is domestic violence? So, a pattern of abusive behavior in any relationship that is used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another intimate partner. So this is between partners, or especially to a couple. So domestic violence takes place as it takes many forms, including physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional, economic, or psychological abuse. So that is the end of my topic. I hope you learned something.